Minister, just wondering what are your views on plans to move local development companies or partnerships over to local authority control?
Partnerships have generally built up a very strong connection with their local community, and I think that we'll have to be very careful that that connection is preserved in any future arrangements. A lot of animation and capacity building has gone on in communities, spearheaded by the partnership groups. So that's very important, even from a point of view of social capital alone. And that dynamic must not in any way be, I think, interfered with. So if there are new relationships between local authorities and partnerships, they certainly must ensure that they will not in any way interfere with that relationship that's there at the moment. Also, there has been a major buy-in from communities into partnerships, and they're very much based really on community. So the community, in its broader sense and definition, has now become very important, especially because of our present economic woes. People are looking more now to their communities for support in several different ways. So that's something that has been built up since LEADER was introduced and then became the partnerships over the last maybe 17 or 18 years now. So we don't want to dismantle all that good work that has been done. So it'll have to, if it's going to happen, then people will have to be very careful about how it's going to be approached.
There's a couple of issues, like would people trust somebody working for a local authority as much as they would for a community-run or a voluntary and community sector group like North East Kerry Development?
Well, it's not an issue of trust, but it's an issue of focus.
And would you see people volunteering for their local authority?
Not as much as they would for partnerships, and that's another issue as well.
And how about the independence of the sector? You know, like community groups, if their worker is a local authority worker, is that a good thing, rather than the worker, maybe the development worker, being with a partnership company, as you might call it, or a local development company?
From my own experience in the past, I've seen communities, when they're working with local authorities, sometimes they would say, well, there are people paid to do that work. Why should we be doing it?
Yep.
Whereas they have a whole different attitude when it comes to partnership, because most of them would understand that partnerships are very much community-based. So they feel that they're contributing to their community more when they're doing voluntary work and supportive work for the partnership. Whereas in the case of local authorities, they may feel that other people are paid to do that work.
Yeah.
And I have certainly got that feeling in the past from my own experiences with working. I was a member of the local authority, but also I've worked with local authorities in tidy towns, for example, and working with partnerships. It's just a different type of relationship.
Okay.
So people must be very clear in their understanding of what would happen then if that relationship was changed.
And on the other hand then, if local authorities, if you were able to clean them up a bit, give more power to the elected officials and take it away from the county managers, as I think you may have proposed, could you see it happening that the community groups would go in under a new type of local authority?
Well, one thing about this government of which I'm part of, they've been very decisive to date with their promises. They have implemented a large number of those promises already. So if it's part of the agenda, certainly it's going to be actively looked at. But I will certainly be bringing a view to the Cabinet regarding the value and the importance of partnerships and how they have evolved, and especially relating to my experience on the ground here in this part of the country, here in Kerry, in North Kerry. So I will certainly be conveying that view very strongly based on my own personal experience and how it has worked so successfully here in North Kerry.
Okay, and just a final word for communities. How important are community groups we're talking about the euro maybe crashing, right? Worst case scenario. How important are community groups at the moment with all that's going on?
They're important now more than ever before. People now are looking more, they have more time to look at themselves, look at their families and their community. And people are seeing the interdependence of their neighbours and their community as now being very, very important. And a supportive community can really help some people when they're in difficulties, when they're facing their own challenges. If you do have a community centre to go to, if there are programs going on there, be it in health, be it in mental health, be it in just craft or whatever, it's somewhere to go to. And as we become a more ageing population, as more people are unemployed, and in rural areas it's more difficult to create employment opportunities, community supports and community centres and programmes are going to become more important. So if local authorities will take over this responsibility, they're going to be involved in providing all those types of supports. Otherwise, society is going to crumble, disintegrate. So we must look at this from a whole social capital point of view, that unless you're really out there on the ground and seeing it in action, people don't fully understand.
Do you see a way of moving the community, state-funded community groups closer to the local authorities without the staff becoming council staff?
Well, I can see. Look, I can see that there's major need for closer collaboration, as they call it, between all group state agencies, and there has to be far more inter and intra-departmental cooperation. There's absolutely no doubt about that, and that's what I'm doing in the arts myself at this moment of time. I'm trying to involve Kerry ES, Leader more, the HSE more. We have to have much more of that. But I think you can have that. You can have local partnerships working very closely with councils. They have council members on their boards. I can see that happening without, at the same time, taking away that independence that they have from them and their effectiveness. I think that it can happen.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks very much, Minister.
Yeah.